Hello, this is Aaron Mean of SG Gaming Info, and welcome to my video review of Hyperdimension Neptunia U Action Unleashed. Hyperdimension Neptunia U is the latest Neptunia spin-off title that Idea Factory International has brought to Windows PC, and like all previous Neptunia spin-offs, Hyperdimension Neptunia U has its own unique selling point. In Hyperdimension Neptunia U, the selling point is the fact that the game is now a brawler, with the game replacing the franchise's traditional JRPG battle system with a more fast-paced hack-and-slash system. The combat in Hyperdimension Neptunia U Action Unleashed is the main draw of the game, with Idea Factory deciding to make it the main point of the game, along with the fact that when your character takes damage, their clothes begin to rip and fall apart. The focus on the combat and the strip-teasing means that other elements of the game suffers. This is best seen with the game's story, which while retaining the Neptunia humour, is rather boring. The game's story revolves around two game industry reporters, called Dengekiko and Famitsu. Both these characters are based off Japanese gaming outlets called Dengeki Magazine and Famitsu. Now, both these reporters want to interview and write articles about the CPUs and the CPU candidates. And the best way to do this is, of course, by having them perform quests and watching them fight. The story is essentially a wave after wave of quests that involve you beating up between 150 to 500 monsters. At first, the idea of fighting large groups of monsters in a brawler sounds fun, but it gets boring quickly. When the story eventually gets going and throws in the main villain, it doesn't hang around long enough to be interesting. Thankfully, the characters are interesting, with the CPUs and CPU candidates all retaining their trademark personalities. The two new characters, Dengekiko and Famitsu, have their moments, but in many ways it feels like they are playing the voice of reason, especially when all the other characters decide to mess about. So if the humour of the franchise is important to you, you'll be happy to know that it is still around in this game. Now, I didn't go too in-depth regarding the new battle system and quests, so let's do that now. The brawler uses a duel system. This means that you can select 2 out of the 10 characters to fight with. Fighting itself isn't difficult to learn, as the game gives you a light and heavy attack, character-specific SP moves, HDD transformations, and an EXE drive attack. The fluidity of combat can be hit and miss, as characters such as Neptune work well with the battle system, which she swings around with ease, but on the other hand, Blanc feels sluggish as her hammer feels too slow. Combat is also hurt by the fact that you have to fight too many monsters to complete a quest. While the combat has some severe drawbacks, the duel system is pretty good, as you don't need to worry about your HP too much, as KO'd characters are replaced by your secondary character until the KO'd character is revived and ready for use again. The duel system also encourages the switching of characters, as the reserve character gains EXE power when not in use. This means when you swap characters, the reserve is automatically useful, as the EXE gauge allows the character to transform and perform powerful attacks. For those who enjoy a bit of fan service, the costume breaking should pique your interest, because if a character takes too much damage, their clothes begin to rip and fall apart. If costume breaking isn't for you, you can unlock clothes that don't rip when damaged. Moving away from combat, we have the quests, the backbone of the main story. In all honesty, the quests range from adequate to boring. The quests never seem to stand out, as they're all basically kill missions. An attempt is made to liven up the quests by having quests locked with certain characters, but this means you have to level all the characters to complete the game. Finally, the last attempt to spice up the questing is with irregular quests. These are quests where the win condition is unknown, and you must find it in order to complete the quest. These quests are gimmicky and aren't as challenging as the game makes them out to be. Once you have dispensed with all the quests and completed the story, the game does offer some additional content. This additional content comes in the form of a fighting tournament and a tower consisting of powerful enemies. Regarding any technical issues with the game, there is no major issue, although on one occasion the game did crash when I attempted to change the game from windowed to borderless mode, although after numerous attempts I couldn't repeat the crash. Regarding what input device to use, I used the Xbox 360 controller, as the keyboard control scheme is rather poor. In terms of graphics, the game looks beautiful and runs at a crisp 60 frames per second, although the game does dip when the combat gets hectic. Regarding the audio, the English dub is solid, but for those who prefer to listen to the Japanese dub, you'll be happy to know that the option is available. So, in conclusion, Hyperdimension Neptunia U Action Unleashed is a rather boring brawler. While the game retains the franchise's humour, the combat gets boring quickly, and the story isn't that interesting. So with that said, I give Hyperdimension Neptunia U a score of 6 out of 10. With the game's pros being post-story content, humorous characters, and the duel system. The game's cons are repetitive quests, boring story, combat gets dull quickly, and the character stripping. Thank you for watching. Please like, favourite and subscribe. For more gaming information, please visit sggaminginfo.com. And don't forget to like our Facebook page at facebook.com/sggaminginfo and follow us on Twitter at sggaminginfo.